This is Mark Tobias. We're in Miami, Florida. Wayne, let's talk about first of all, your background for 2 minutes and then the FBI pizza call.
All right. My name is Wayne Barnes. I'm a retired FBI agent. I was in for 29 years as a special agent. Retired in 2000. Since then, I've worked for 11 years doing investigations around Florida, around the U.S., and all around the world. In 1993, I was involved in an investigation in the San Diego FBI. We had just begun healthcare fraud cases, and we took the easiest ones first, the ones that had most complaints coming to our FBI headquarters. And a company called National Medical Enterprises ran 9 psychiatric hospitals across the U.S., Dallas, Atlanta, San Diego, and other places. And we found they were doing the 3 things which psychiatric hospitals should not be doing. They were committing people to be in for 90 days observation who really shouldn't have been. They're holding some longer than that, which really meant that they were legally crazy. And then they were giving medications to people who shouldn't be getting them. So we investigated these companies, these hospitals. The problem was the doctors who were making these assertions were getting free golf vacations in the Caribbean as a result, which was their kickback. So we did the investigation, and we needed to do a simultaneous raid on all of the 9 psychiatric hospitals. And I was involved with the one in San Diego, which was called the Southwood Psychiatric Hospital in the Chula Vista section of San Diego. So the agent in charge, a fellow named Keith Moses, told us all that we would have several dozen agents, but it would just take a few hours. We would be out by lunch. So we took our 2 Ryder rental trucks to Southwood, and we started. The concept was everybody would wear the raid jackets. That would be a navy blue jacket with gold letters saying FBI in the back. And what we first saw as a problem was that most of the people in these institutions already thought the FBI was out to get them. So if they saw several dozen agents crossing the parking lot wearing the raid jackets, and we would confirm that we were in fact out to get them, that would be a bad thing. So we just left the jackets home. So meanwhile, we went all through the morning taking both medical records and financial records. And toward the end of the afternoon, when we realized we hadn't gotten any lunch and the agents were getting a little upset with it, we thought it would be finished much sooner. Keith Moses went to the man who was the president of the hospital, whose life Keith essentially had just destroyed, and he said, "You guys ever order, pizza from any place?" He wanted to get us all pizza. So the man gave him the name of a pizza joint down the street, and Keith called. And what happened next has become somewhat infamous. So Keith called up to the pizza place. Fellow answers, "Hello," and he said, "I'd like to order 19 large pizzas and 67 cans of soda." And the fellow said, "And where would you like them delivered?" And he said, "To the Southwood Psychiatric Hospital." And the fellow said, to the Southwood? And he said, "Sure, I'm an FBI agent." And the pizza guy said, "You're an FBI agent?" And he looked around the room, he saw several dozen other FBI agents waiting for the pizza, and he said, "Sure, everybody here is an FBI agent." Well, unbeknownst to Keith, of course, the pizza guy didn't believe him. So he said, "And make sure you we had the front doors locked, make sure you take the pizza around to the back to the service entrance so you can get in that way." Of course, this gives the pizza guy the belief that he's really a crazy person. And he says, "How are you going to pay for this?" And Keith says, "Well, I got my checkbook right here," and he shook the checkbook at the phone. They went on for another few moments in conversation with follow-up questions about getting in and the pizza. Finally, in the end, the fella said, "And you're all FBI agents and you're over at Southwood?" And Keith said, "Yeah, that's right." And he said, "No," and he hung up the phone. And Keith was very upset. Other agents in the office were bunching up papers and throwing them at Keith because he wouldn't get us our pizza. And I was happy to be standing beside Keith as this was taking place, and he hung up the phone. He was really upset. And I was laughing, and the others weren't laughing. They were also upset. And I said, "You know what just happened?" And he said, "Yeah, the guy won't deliver our pizza." And I said, "No." I said, "He didn't believe you were an FBI agent." So Keith, he pulled out his credentials like this, and he shook them at me, and as though I didn't know he was an FBI agent, which was somewhat ludicrous at the time. And so I said, "Listen, I'll write this down tomorrow morning, and we'll just, see what you think about it." So it ended up that the bottom line was they would not give us the pizza, but we made the order, and we had to drive over and wait for them to make it, because they wouldn't even make it without us being there, because they didn't want to make 19 pieces for crazy people who couldn't pay for them and get them to the hospital. So we ended up waiting for the pizza. It took 3 cars to bring back all the pizza, all the sodas, and we got our meal. But the next morning, we reconstructed what had taken place during the conversation. And we sent it around the office to people, and it got tweaked a little bit, but in essence that was the story. So within a short period of time, I knew a couple agents involved in the investigation in Dallas and Atlanta. So I faxed off a copy of what has become known as the FBI pizza call to a friend in Dallas. And in less than half an hour, I got a call in my office back in San Diego, and it was a female saying, "Is this Wayne Barnes?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, "Oh, just a minute." Heard the beeps and the pops, which back in 1993 was the sound of a phone going on to a speakerphone in a field office. And she said, "Okay, we're all ready. Tell us." And I said, "Tell you what?" And she said, "About the pizza call. What happened?" So I told her the story of what happened with the pizza calls, where they had their raid, but no one was ordering pizza. And they all thought it was very funny, and we sent it a few different places. We sent it to the Assistant U.S. Attorney in San Diego, who was the one in charge of that investigation. It turned out to be the largest individual healthcare fraud case up to that time, which was $363 million, I believe, that they ended up owing between all 9 hospitals. So it was a big deal. There was so much paperwork that our AUSA on the case decided that it was so much entertainment that when he would send a fax to another U.S. Attorney's office, 20, 30-page fax, he would put the pizza call as the last page, and across the top of it he had printed out in large letters the last page. So it went to every other U.S. Attorney's office essentially in the country. And then we started getting more calls about it. And I first saw it was published in a B'nai B'rith journal and various state bar association law journals. It made it to the Catholic Digest. Paul Harvey, I believe, read it on the air. They read it on the air in San Diego, and it started going on the web. But the word viral for us didn't take effect until an old friend of mine, Jim Woolsey, who had been a lawyer on Massachusetts Avenue in Washington, D.C., was appointed as a CIA director by George Bush 41. And he was a good speaker, but he wasn't real humorous. And he was going to give a speech at the Center for Strategic and International Studies on International Terrorism. And people running the conference said, "You need to recruit these people and do something humorous to start with." So he took the pizza call page that I had sent him, and he started by saying that I have a friend who was in the FBI counterintelligence in Washington for years and is now in San Diego working healthcare fraud, and he tells me that this is true. And then he just read the pizza call. Of course, it went over very well, but from there it went onto the web because it looked as though the FBI had been wiretapping themselves for what turned out to be the one-page of pizza call. Well, we didn't do that. We would never wiretap ourselves. But that's where it came, and it went viral from there. It's on the web at something between 500,000 and 1 million shots on the web.
I love
it.
it.
That was the FBI pizza call.
Okay, very good. Thank you.